Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, as we promise you that we will try to bring very new aspects, new topics for you so that your personality as a whole could be built up. And keeping this view in mind, today also we have brought for you a very new, very fresh topic. You might have heard about managerial skills. What are these managerial skills? What are the various components, aspects and the various tools associated with it? Today we are going to learn about it, and for this we have again with us in our studios Dr. Ravi Shankar. He is an eminent academician as well as he is into this profession since we can say more than 30 years. So taking his experience along with this lecture and trying to understand more about what are the managerial skills, how it could be built. So first of all, I would like to welcome our expert, Dr. Ravi Shankar. Hello, sir. Welcome to the EduSet lecture, and I wish all the students who might be watching this lecture right now would be benefited from it, as well as they would excel with the help of what you are going to deliver.
Okay. Thank you very much, and very good morning to all our viewers. The theme of today's lecture and maybe some of the subsequent ones will be managerial skills for all. Each one of us, we are managers, we manage things. Housewife, she is again a manager. She might be managing the house. She has to manage the time at times. She has to see to it that the children go to school on time, they finish their homework on time, they go for play, they do have some time for self-study and whatnot. Somebody who is a shopkeeper is also a manager, manages the money, manages resources, manages sales, manages so many other things. So if we look at each one of us, I think we manage in our day-to-day work so many things. And I think there are different skills which are required at each of that level. The skills to take decisions, the skills to communicate, skills to plan, skills to manage contingencies, and many others such things. So we thought maybe it might be a good idea to initiate a series on managerial skills for all. There are books available on the similar kind of themes, and actually the idea came from one of the such books where the title itself said the basic managerial skills for all. So we thought we pick up this theme and carry on with the series of interactions on this kind of a theme. And today's theme is that we look at the non-verbal communication, and many a times when we communicate through words, but there is a whole lot of communication which takes place without the use of words. So that is where we call the non-verbal communication. The idea is that we look at verbal versus non-verbal, and non-verbal is also divided into two, which is vocal, other is visual. Non-verbal means other than the words. It could be a picture which becomes a visual, it could be a sound which is vocal, like the whistle. The whistle is of various types. Even in our the way a mother she recites a lori, the child goes to sleep. So that is a vocal part, but it is non-verbal, and that is where we look at a combination of these three: verbal, visual, vocal. The way you speak, that becomes your style of talking, and that style might be impressive, it could be non-impressive. Large number of people, they are not sensitive on their style of talking, and they have to correct themselves. They have to, if I use a word, they have to improve their style of talking, the style of presentation. And majority of the time we have seen that people, they do have good voice, but they cannot use their voice very effectively. Majority of the men have a voice which is of a masculine voice, and large number of women, they have voice which is effeminative, a women's voice. There are very few people who have, women who have masculine voice. We have, some singers who have very, masculine voice like Usha Uttup or Ila Arun and so on. But the fact is that even when Usha Uttup sings or whenever Ila Arun sings, they sing very well. So they know how to use their voice effectively. And both these celebrities, I have given an example, they know how to use their voice. I mean, every singer is not Lata Mangeshkar, every singer is not Mohammed Rafi, but still they use their voice very effectively. And I think that is the skill they have developed to use their voice to communicate, to entertain for that matter. And to that extent, the style becomes very important. The style of singing of Usha Uttup, the style of singing of Ila Arun, the style of even Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. He has a very shriek voice, but he has the ability to go from very low notes to very high notes in very few seconds, and that made it style, and it became a very popular style amongst the music lovers. So this is where I think we have to understand this aspect. The non-verbal communication include all unwritten and unspoken messages, both intentional or unintentional ones. There are times when we relate communications unintentionally, and the fact is that we have to be cautious of the fact that without realizing we are communicating, better we stop communicating in that manner. And this is how we look at the areas of non-verbal communication. And there are, very interestingly, the areas are number one, which is called kinesics. The kinesics is the study of the message sent by body movements, facial expressions, postures, gestures. I was surprised. There was a book available on kinesics itself, thick book going into 700 pages, only on one aspect called kinesics. And then there is an area called ocular contact, which is the study of type of eye contact, eye movement, including blinkings and whatnot. Again, it's an area, it has become now an area to give emphasis on, that how to establish eye contact with people. Then we did the third area, which is now becoming extremely important in day-to-day life, called paralinguistics, which is the study of vocal factors, such as the way you speak, which is your clarity, or the tone, or non-verbal utterances, or silences, or the gaps. Paralinguistic is the study of what we call the oral white space. When you, for example, when you type on the computer, you don't put space between two words, and the computer shows underline, red underline, which means the computer has not understood. But the moment you put a space between the two words, now the red line has gone, red underline has gone, and the computer is able to understand. So therefore we call it, there is a white space, space bar, and there is similar analogy we draw, and we call it oral white space. When you speak, each word must stand out very clearly, and that is where the oral white space becomes extremely relevant and extremely important in conversation. And this whole study, we call it paralinguistics. How you emphasize. I mean, if you look at different actors, the voice delivery becomes very important. How you speak a dialogue. A particular word, like in Hindi we call acha. Acha can be interpreted in variety of ways, the way you speak it, and that is the entire essence behind paralinguistics. Acha can be haan, acha can be surprise, acha, and acha can be threat also, which is acha, to nikal baar main tere ko dekhta hu. So it could be even used as a threat, and that is the whole. Otherwise, the simple dictionary meaning of acha could be someone is agreeing with what you are saying. But acha can also be surprise, and so on. Or haan. Ha could be yes, ha could be surprise, ha could be in negative also. And that is where this study of paralinguistics comes in. And then we look at some other areas like proxemics, which is the study of space, distance, territories. This is each one of us, it's called that how you adjust yourself in a given space. Space bubbles are important. Adjusting in the space is very important. Many a time when we find that for job interviews or even for discussions, many a time people don't sit opposite to each other. They rather prefer to sit across a round table. A round table versus square table shows different connotations. A square table means you're sitting opposite to each other, means there is confrontation. Somebody is asking, other is responding. If you are sitting around a round table, it could be you are partner in discussing. If it could be you are sitting on a sofa set on the corner, and which means you are collaborating, you are trying to work together, you work in a team and so on. So these are all dimensions of we call proxemics, how you adjust within a given space. And then there is a whole study which is relates to the study of touch, like handshake, hug, back patting, and it has phenomenal importance in day-to-day interaction. Imagine I as a manager who is extremely impressed with the work which my subordinate has done, and irrespective of and we, for the time being, we don't look at the gender aspect in this particular example. And imagine there is a departmental meeting, and in the departmental meeting I don't raise it, but once the meeting gets over, I as a superior, I walk up to my subordinate who has done exceptionally well. I give a pat at the back and I just say, keep the good work going. Others look at and they equally get motivated. Now that's where we call, it's a science. Now it is becoming very important that you in your day-to-day interaction, how do you motivate your colleagues? How do you motivate your subordinates? How do you get things done by them? And how do you really convey your concern to them? And then there is a sixth area which is called semiotics, the study of messages implied in such objects like dress. Dress also communicates a lot, or decor, or status and whatnot. So semiotics is also a very important area. In fact, whenever you go for a job interview, your dress is a very important means of communication. In fact, a whole lot of studies have been done on dress. Is being even researched that what type of collars you should have for your shirt. If your neck is not very long, then you should actually be wearing small collars and not long collars like 3 inches and so on. If your neck is not very long, you should have collars which should be just 2 inches in breadth. So there is a whole area of dress as a means of communication, and it's being said that the dress conveys 3 things to the rest, to the others. And it's being said that whenever when you dress, you do 3 things, which somebody told me, and somebody very important personality told me about the relevance of dress. And the first thing she said was, she was a lady who told me this many years ago, and she said that when you dress up, you do 3 things. For the first thing you do is, you give respect to the person to whom you are going to meet, so for whom you are dressing up. So you give respect to the person. For example, your brother or sister is getting married. Will you dress up like the ordinary dress which you wear every day? So you dress up for that occasion. So you dress up and you give respect to the person. So you convey your respect to the person through the kind of dress you wear, that you care to dress up for that person. Like you are meeting a senior manager in a company and you are facing a job interview. If you dress up, you give respect to the person. If you walk up just casually, which means you have been very casual about it, it's not very important for you to meet that gentleman. The second is that I was told that you respect the occasion. It's a very important occasion in your life that that your sister is getting married, so you dress up, or your brother is getting married, or you are meeting somebody in a particular company. It's a great day for you that you are getting a job interview and so on. So as such, job market is so bad and you don't get jobs so easily. Unfortunately, you got a call and you are facing a job interview. Better you dress up, man. It's a very important occasion in your life. And the third is, which is you respect yourself. Learn to give respect to yourself. If you don't respect yourself, others will not respect you. So learn to dress up so that you get respected by others, and that will be only happening if you respect yourself. It's also being said that if you respect your clothes, the clothes will respect you. And that is where it's being said that when you go home, don't, when you change your dress, don't throw your clothes here and there, but keep them nicely, wash them properly, see to it they don't get crushed so badly, see to it that they don't get, unstitched, the stitching goes away. Just keep them properly. If you respect your clothes will respect you. So dress has become a very important means of communication. And these three aspects of dress, that when you dress up, you respect the person, you respect the occasion, you respect yourself. I think that is in nutshell, is the learning out of it, and that communicates a lot. The meaning there is not that it should be expensive, but it should be appropriate. The meaning of dress doesn't mean that you have to go for a very expensive clothes. It could be just a white shirt, but a clean white shirt, properly ironed, and that you wear during a job interview, or a necktie along with it. And that's how we look at the different areas of study. There are different researches which have suggested the importance of nonverbal communication. There is a study done by a gentleman called Mr. Cooper, and the Cooper study says that 60% of communication is relayed by body movements. So your body movements communicate significantly to the extent 60%, and 40% is the rest. And there is another, which is Mehrabian study, and the Mehrabian study says that 55% of your communication is relayed by your body, 38% by your voice, and words play a very small role, which is 7%. Some of you who are who lose confidence, because some of you, when you face job interview and you say meri angrezi theek nahi hai, I speak incorrect English and whatnot, don't bother, because words play a very limited role. Improve your voice, vocal quality, spoken quality, and learn to use your body more effectively. It could be that you can improve your overall interviewing skills far better. And even if you want to discount that 7%, you may say 7% तो सर बहुत थोड़ा हो गया, इसको थोड़ा सा बढ़ा दो. ठीक है यार, बढ़ा दो, 7 to 17 कर लो, 27 कर लो. That doesn't matter, because which means still the major part of the communication is other than the words, and the words play only a very limited role. Maybe the Mehrabian study says 7%, you may make it 25%, but still 75% of communication is relayed by your body and your voice, and therefore that is non-verbal. Manage your non-verbal, learn how to use that effectively. It could be you will be able to communicate far more effectively, even if your command on language is not very good. You will pick up over a period of time, because if you learn how to use your voice and your body, you will gain confidence in speaking, and if you are confident, you will speak far more effectively. So what is important is effective speaking, effective interaction, effective interviewing, rather than correct English and correct pronunciation. So please, you see the difference between the two, and just learn how to improve your body language and your voice quality. And in the remaining time, we will try to give you some tips as we go along. The significance of nonverbal communication is that nonverbal communication plays a significant role in communication because they are real, uncontrolled, true relay of message. For example, if you are going for a job interview, you find that you are getting nervous. Now, nervousness is a sign which suddenly you find it has come into you. You have been fine in the morning, you slept well, you woke up, suddenly you find you are getting concerned about your interview. So you find that your heartbeat has gone up, and you start feeling shaky, and so this is what it is, natural, but be realistic about it. Try to control your nerves. So that is where we call it, when you start facing the job interview, in spite of the air conditioning, good air conditioning inside the room, you start sweating. That is where we call it's a real uncontrolled. Control it. That is what the suggestion is. Be realistic about it, that you will start sweating. So if you are getting nervous, start taking deeper breaths, deep breaths. If you are sitting outside the interview room waiting for your turn, आपको बता दिया गया है कि अब जो कैंडिडेट अंदर गया है उसके बाद अब आपकी बारी आने वाली है. So that 5 minutes, 6 minutes, take deep breaths, try to control your nerves, convey to yourself you are well prepared. Don't allow negative things to come in your mind. I was reading a book with the title of the book was a very, very interesting book, and the title of the book was The Best Salesman in the World. And here it was a biography of a priest who worked for the cause of Christianity. And there in that book, this gentleman wrote that confidence, lack of confidence, overconfidence is nothing but a mental disposition you arrive at yourself. It doesn't come from anywhere else, it comes from within. Confidence, overconfidence, lack of confidence, it comes from within. You arrive that mental state yourself. If you feel that you are getting overconfident, please allow a negative thought to set in so that you come back to your normal self. If you start losing confidence in yourself, allow positive thoughts that I can do it. And what he said is very right, that you can only communicate effectively when you are in normal self. Try to come back to the normal situation and be realistic. Anytime I didn't face many job interviews, to be very honest, but anytime I met somebody, I allowed that thought to come in my mind that खा तो नहीं जाएगा ना मेरे को, so why I should get worried? ज़्यादा क्या होगा, जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, कोई बात नहीं, चलो इससे गप मार के आते हैं, बातचीत करके आते हैं. इतने सीनियर बंदे से मुलाकात करने का मौका ज़िंदगी में कम बार मिलता है. Let me have a great interaction with him or with them. I went with that kind of a thought, and I found that it worked. That worked because I was in my normal self. And honestly speaking, that works. Many a time people pick up so much of pressure, and because of the pressure you are carrying when you are facing in the job, हो क्या होगा, मेरे को नौकरी नहीं मिली तो मेरा क्या होगा, बड़ी मुश्किल से ये हुआ था, वो हुआ था, अब आया हूँ, ये नहीं होगा तो मैं तो बर्बाद हो जाऊँगा. You take so much on you, and that is why you don't do so well. The suggestion is, forget about everything. Just go the way you are. Be normal. Be honest. Tell the truth. If you don't know the answer, say, I'm sorry, I don't know. But if you start bluffing, then you become a bluff master. And remember one thing, there are not one, there are 2 or 3 people who interview. They have much greater experience than you. They're going to catch you. And if they catch you, obviously they will not spare you, dear. So that is where the suggestion is, be in your normal self. And that is where the non-verbal, you have to be realistic about your non-verbal. Non-verbal can enhance a verbal message. which means that you start looking at how to enhance your communications through your body language. The way you sit, it's very important. It is being suggested that you must sit upright in the chair. Go with that kind of a rehearsal, how I will sit if I have to go and sit before the board. Whether I will put my leg or whether I will sit with my legs crossed? No, I will sit upright. And give vocal quality is also very important. And it's a forceful to, and it can even replace a verbal thought. Non-verbal is so important, it can replace the verbal thought. In fact, if I go back to what I have been saying, body movements is one aspect, space is another aspect, voice patterns, which is paralanguage, is very important. Time, how you communicate. If you are late for a job interview, it communicates enough for you that you are so casual about that. Touch is also a sense of touch. A child, an infant, doesn't understand any language other than the language of touch. If a 3-week-old or a 1-month-old baby also understands the language of touch, if the mother lifts the baby gets quiet, chup ho jata hai rote hue. But if the father holds it, the child starts crying louder than otherwise. And if the neighbors, they hold the baby, the child starts screaming. So even the insecurity in a child grows, and it's given by by the nature that the child also recognizes the touch. A small infant recognizes the touch. A 1-month-old infant recognizes the touch. So the touch actually is very important. And the color. Even the colors communicate a lot. The traffic police communicates with the color red, yellow and green, when to stop, when to go. So colors also have their significance. There are colors which we call in the science of colors, we call it hot colors, cold colors, sober colors. Even the corporate colors have of late have undergone some change. The classic corporate colors were white, off-white, grey, black trousers, black jacket. Now they are now getting changed to even purple, for that matter, dark purple shirts, or even they have come in some way or the other. But nevertheless, colors do have a significance. If you go for a job interview, you just perhaps cannot afford to wear a red shirt and a lemon yellow tie with butterflies on it and so on. So the colors and designs, they communicate a lot. So be sensitive about this aspect. The layout, design and graphics, they are also important. The designs, for example, on your tie, when you go for a job interview, the kind of design your necktie has, it's significant. At best it should be plain, maximum it can have stripes, thin stripes, but obviously you just cannot have flowers, butterflies, animals, elephants and those kind of things, flowers on your necktie. So there is a whole science which is now growing alongside. And also you communicate through objects. That's again, it's an industry through which you communicate. Pharmaceutical sector is one such sector where they have learned and they have researched and they use very effectively these objects. Every time a medical representative is meeting a medical practitioner, they give them some gift, some novelty, something or the other. And these objects communicate a lot. In the lighter vein, we always say that to somebody, if you send bangles, that convey something. When I was in college, we used to send bangles to our principal because the principal was unable to take any decision in favor of the students. And the students' union president used to send bangles to the president. So those were objects. Imagine that outside a Hindu temple, if the head of a cow is kept in the morning, it can create communal riots. So that's where the objects are very serious matters, and one has to take it, and it's that is grown as a science to analyze. You communicate through objects, and even gifts. It's a huge industry. Gifts is a huge industry today. Diwali, corporate gifts is a huge industry. A lot of people, and the pharma sector, the one industry actually, the pharma industry is one such industry where they have really done exceptionally well in researching, developing newer kind of objects as gift items and so on. So we will look at some of them as we go into details. Look at this diagram, this particular illustration, and in this illustration, warmth of affection, warmth and affection is communicated where there is a handshake, but the handshake, the right hand, the person is holding the right hand of the other person, and this person whom you see is holding, in the first case, holding the wrist in the first case, and in the second case is moving to the elbow, holding the elbow. In the third case, holding the shoulder of the right shoulder, and in the fourth case, it's the left shoulder. So the warmth is communicated, and definitely you can see A is not equal to B, B is not equal to C, C is not equal to D. And the last one actually looks at as if they are very good friends. They know each other for the last so many years, and they are meeting after a long time. So you could see that it's just nothing but a body language, that from the left hand of this gentleman is holding the other person where from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder to the left shoulder, going across the right shoulder to the left shoulder. So that shows the warmth. That's just an example to illustrate my point. And the second is space, how you adjust yourself in a given space. Each one of us, we have different space bubbles around us. If you are standing, there is a space bubble which you maintain, which is a half a meter, 1.5 to 2 feet distance. You normally don't allow people to enter in that space unless you have your, you have intimate relationships with those people. So we call it intimate space bubble. You normally maintain that space bubble unless you have intimate relationship. I don't allow anyone to enter in that space bubble. I will not allow anyone to enter in that bubble unless I have intimate relationship with that person. And I have intimate relationship with my mother, with my wife, with my son, with my uncle, with my brother, with my teacher, with my friend. And only these people I allow to enter in this bubble. And the second space bubble is from half a meter to 1.5 meter, or we call it 2 feet to 4 feet, or 4 to 5 feet, and that we call it personal space. For example, when you are interacting as a colleague, you maintain that 2 feet to 4 feet distance, and that is a distance within which you communicate, and we call it a personal space. And the third space bubble is a social space, that from 4 feet to about 12 feet. We call it the social space. It's typically the way you interact in a group, whether in a drawing room or in the living room. You interact with friends in the coffee table. It could be a cafeteria where some of friends you sit together and you discuss. That's called it a social space. And then it comes as the public space, which is beyond 16 feet. And the thumb rule here is that whenever you are communicating in any of those 3 space bubbles, as I have shown, your body movements don't go above the shoulder level. Your gestures don't go above the shoulder level. They remain at the shoulder level. If you take it to the shoulder, above the shoulder level, that only happens in the public space. अभी दिल्ली में स्टूडेंट्स बहुत नारे लगा रहे थे, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम था, और हमारी मांगे पूरी करो, ये करो, वो करो. So hi, जिंदाबाद. So all that happens in the public space, and that is where, that's an example, your gestures go above the shoulder level. But normally your gestures, whenever you are in intimate, personal or social space, your gestures don't go above the shoulder level. That's a thumb rule. The learning out of that is that learn to use that space very critically, very effectively, because there are three assumptions that higher the people are in organizations, better allocated are their territories, their space is well allocated. For example, the director of my institute, he has a huge big room, and then it's a huge space, and the territory of a peon is just a stool on which he sits. And so the 3 points are: higher the people are in organizations, better allocated are their territories; higher the people are in organizations, better protected are their territories; and higher the people are in organizations, it is easier for them to invade into the territories of their lower ranking staff. My director can come and walk into my room and ask me what I am doing. In fact, it's easy for me to invade into the territories of the lower ranking staff. If you invade, you convey the concern, importance, and you don't want to waste the time of your subordinates. I also had the opportunity to be heading an institution. I headed an institution for some time, for about 2 years. And during those 2 years, I used this aspect very effectively. Rather than calling my colleagues to my room, I used to go over to them and just talk to them in their rooms and come back. And I found that it was people were on their chairs, on their seats. They knew this superior can come in anytime. The boss can be on round and can ask. If I am not in my seat, then he can ask where I am. Number two, they were working and I was not wasting their time. They were queuing outside my room. They were not queuing outside my room and waiting for my time. एक जना अंदर बैठा है, 4 जने बाहर इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं और इंतज़ार में अपना टाइम बर्बाद कर रहे हैं. It's better that I go over to them, I talk to them, and so on. And anytime I told them that they can always ring me up and we can fix up an appointment, and I even at times used to go over to them and talk to them. So that holds very, very true, that higher the people are in organizations, better allocated are their territories; higher the people in organizations, better protected are their territories; and higher the people are in organizations, it is easier for them to invade into the personal territories of the lower ranking staff and their colleagues and peers. So this is the learning out of, so you have to use the space very effectively. The next is kinesics. So from space we move to the kinesics, facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, postures, movements. So these 5 aspects we will spend a couple of minutes on each. For example, eye contact. When you are talking to a group of people, how do you establish eye contact? Imagine you are addressing 20 people or 30 people. The suggestion here is that you don't look at everybody, but look at specific in one direction. And that is how I try to show through those circles, that you as a speaker, you have definite eye contact with someone specific. You will actually be giving the attention to, आप देख तो एक जने को रहे होगे, मगर आप attention 10 लोगों को दे रहे होगे. फिर दूसरी दिशा में देखिए और किसी और व्यक्ति से eye contact करें, और फिर आप हो सकता है कि आप उस दिशा में बैठे सभी लोगों को attention दे पाएं. So this is the thumb rule of eye contact. Then comes facial expressions. People from the theater background, they say facial expressions can be of variety of types. वो हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि 16 भाव होते हैं. अब 16 का तो पता नहीं, मगर I just picked up a diagram and you can see that different facial expressions. The first picture is person is very happy, and then the second is far more happy. The third one is little like surprise also comes in, and so on. And the last picture, the fourth one is anger, and the last picture is unhappiness. So we call happiness surprise, fear, anger, sadness, disgust, interest, determination. Face is a mirror of your inner feelings, and please correct your facial expressions. Many a times you don't realize that you have put unnecessary 3 lines on your forehead. आपकी त्योरियाँ चढ़ गई हैं, आपको वो उसको रिलैक्स करिए अपनी फेशियल मसल्स और वो त्योरियों को हटाइए. हो सकता है त्योरियाँ जब आपके चेहरे से हटती हैं तो ज़्यादा अच्छे लगना शुरू हो जाते हैं. So rather than giving a frowning look like this, just relax your facial muscles. You might look better thereafter. Then we look at gestures. Gestures are also very different types. Emblems, illustrator, regulators, and so on. See this, एक हाथ से ही बहुत सारे gestures किए जा सकते हैं. The second one is no. Third one is victory. And then the finger kept on the lips is no, please keep quiet. And so on. So बहुत सारे gestures. In fact, on the limit नहीं है. You can bring in so much variety in your gestures, but learn to use them. Unfortunately, people are not sensitive on these gestures. But the suggestion here is learn more about it. This particular diagram I downloaded from Google's. So just go through, Google is a wonderful source of knowledge. Pick up these and use it in your day-to-day conversation. For example, what you do with your hand, one hand, like we call it air hold. Air hold is, आप कहना हो तो आप air hold करें. बहुत छोटी सी बात है, तो छोटी सी बात कहने के लिए मे बी इट्स लाइक दैट. और एयर grasp, air grasp could be, which is different from the air hold. Raised finger as a baton, which could be one important issue. Hand purse, again you can use. Hand bend or hand punch. So all are different forms of gestures. You can do it with both the hands, like hand scissors, hand chop, palm front, palm up, palm down, palm side. Now the palm front could be hold on man, I'll explain to you. Palm up could be, yeah, we will do it. Palm down, we have to control this. And palm sides, again you can show the magnitude. If the distance between the two palms is less, you can say there is a small issue, but the distance between the two palms is large, it could be a bigger issue. So you can use those gestures far more effectively and practice that. And then we look at postures. Posture is again a very important dimension, how you stand, how you sit, how you talk, upright or casual. So that is a posture. आप बैठे हो तो upright बैठे हो या casually बैठे हो, वो एक निश्चित करना आपके लिए बहुत ही आवश्यक है. अगर आप खड़े हैं तो कैसे खड़े हैं, आप खड़े होकर बातचीत कर रहे हैं तो दोनों टांगों पे खड़े हैं या एक टांग पे खड़े हैं और दूसरे टांग का घुटना आपने मोड़ रखा है और आप एक कैजुअल तरीके से खड़े हैं. और बहुत ही फ़नी लगते हैं कई बार जब आप कैजुअल तरीके से खड़े होते हैं. सो दिस इज़ व्हाट यू नीड टू लर्न and be sensitive on that. How do I stand, man, if I have to talk to a person or talk to a group or talk to an individual? I got some visuals to show, and if you look at the diagram, the first one, it's being said that whenever you are making a presentation, when you are talking to somebody, there cannot be a rule of do's, but there can be certain don'ts which you can follow. कम से कम भैया ये मत करें. So don't do this. So first is don't be a weakling. जो first diagram जो दिखाया जा रहा है, जिसके अंदर वो जो व्यक्ति भाषण दे रहा है वो लेक्टन के ऊपर झुक गया है. लेक्टन जो है वो आपके लिए नहीं है, वो आपके कागज़ों के लिए है, आपके सामग्री के लिए है, आपके मटेरियल के लिए है. तो don't put your weight on it. just put your papers on it. That is what the suggestion is. So don't be a weakling, don't put your weight on it, but stand upright and use it for your material. The second is, don't be a musician. The musician means that you are as if you are conducting a orchestra. Don't be a musician. Bring variation in your gestures. That is the second. The third thing is that don't be a reader. Whenever you make a presentation, look into the eyes of your audiences and look at the posture of this gentleman. He has no eye contact with anybody for that matter. The fourth is a pacer. Pacer is a person who doesn't care what is happening. She is actually addressing the group without concern about herself, her movements, her material, her paper. She is going on and on and on. So don't be a pacer. Be at a place and be definite. If you have to stand at a place, go there and stand there. If you have to write something on the board, please go to the board and write gently on the board. Don't be a bon voyager. Bon voyager is, again, the gestures are going above the shoulder level, which must be avoided in an interaction. Bon voyager is tata, bye-bye type, And finally, don't be a gripper, that you get stuck, you get glued to a place. Just be natural and things will flow out of you. So these are the 6 don'ts which you must follow. That don't, number 1, don't be a weakling. Number 2, don't be a musician. 3, don't be a reader. 4th, don't be a pacer. 5, don't be a bon voyager. And 6, don't be a gripper. If you don't do that, you will be an effective speaker. And on the audience side also, we find there is a different kind of a response. I picked up a visual from, again, the internet. Supposing you are talking to a group and your audience show this kind of body positions. Have a look at it. It's going to be terrible for you that no one is interested in you. So again, when you are listening to somebody, don't sit like that. Create an impression, give attention. And you look at what is happening. In the first case, the person is thoroughly disgusted. In the second case, the person is sleeping. In the third case, someone is looking in the other direction. Fourth one is also doing the same thing. Fifth one has gone off to sleep altogether. So it's nothing but you look at the body positions and so on that conveys lack of interest. And that is the whole science which is now growing, that give attention to the people. Then movements. Your movement should also be natural and give attention to other. The next aspect is voice set. Your voice is a God-given gift. But my ability to use my voice is something which I should be sensitive on. बहुत से लोग हैं जब बात करते हैं तो आ करके बोलते हैं. I think so. बहुत से लोग एक्चुअली वर्ड का इस्तेमाल करते. एक्चुअली उसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं तकिया कलाम. एक्चुअली आई वेंट देयर एंड एक्चुअली आई वेंट देयर. कुछ लोग यू सी बहुत बोलते हैं. यू सी आई वेंट देयर. यू सी देर आर सो मेनी एस्पेक्ट्स. यू सी अवॉइड इट, क्योंकि यू सी का कोई मतलब नहीं है उस सेंटेंस के अंदर, या एक्चुअली का कोई मतलब नहीं है उस सेंटेंस के अंदर. इसी तरह से आज जो आप लगाते हो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं होता. एंड देयरफॉर आई कॉल इट रेट, पिच, रिदम, रेजोनेंस एंड नॉन वर्बल वोकलाइजेशंस. इन सब को अवॉइड किया जाना चाहिए. लाफिंग, क्राइंग, वर्बल पॉजेज, इंटरलूड्स ऑफ साइलेंस, ahs, oohs, etc. So these are all must be avoided. I give you certain suggestions. The first is the rate. Rate at which you speak is very important. Most of us, we can speak from 100 to 150 words per minute. But some people cannot articulate, cannot understand if you speak at a higher rate. Most of us, when we go to watch English movies, we don't understand English movies so much because they speak English faster than the way Indians speak English. So we are not used to listening to English at a faster rate. But in English movies, they speak English at a faster rate. That is where the suggestion is that speak at a rate at which you are comfortable. Learn to speak at a rate at which you are comfortable. The analogy I would like to draw is that imagine that there is a water tank, and in that water tank water is coming at a slow rate, but you are taking out water at a faster rate. Soon a stage will come when the tank will have no water to release, and it will take some time for the water to come in so that some water can be released. The same thing happens with you. If you start speaking at a faster rate, it could be that ideas will not come to you at that same fast rate, which means you will go blank. And that will be a disaster. The suggestion here is that any time when you face a job interview or you interact with somebody, you try to go at a speed at which you are comfortable. Speak at a rate at which you are normal, and don't speak at a faster rate. Normally what happens when you are nervous, you start speaking at a faster rate. Deliberately make an attempt to go at a 1 gear low. Speak less words per minute. You will speak each word so clearly, and when you speak, you incidentally you also listen. So you get the feedback. If you speak, you listen, you get a feedback, and when you are nervous, and in spite of being nervous, when you speak very well, you get a feedback that I am doing well here. So you get over nervousness automatically. By the time you come to the second or third sentence, you start speaking far more effectively. So that is the first lesson. The first lesson is adjust your rate. Normally adjust your rate when you talk to a group. The second is pitch. Normally when you talk to in an interview, गले में आवाज़ चोक होनी शुरू हो जाती है, गला सूखने लग जाता है, गले में से आवाज़ नहीं निकलती. Deliberately speak at a 1 pitch higher. हम कोशिश नहीं करते और धीमी पिच में बोलते हैं और हमारी आवाज़ किसी को समझ नहीं आती क्योंकि हम इतनी लो पिच में बोलते हैं. So the second prescription is speak at a 1 pitch higher. When you speak at a pitch higher, you become audible. When you become audible, the others understand you and they nod, they agree or disagree, and the conversation begins with you. And that is the second method which you should do. Normally हम गलत करते हैं, मगर करेक्ट उसको करिए और deliberately एक pitch higher बोलें. तीसरा है rhythm. The rhythm का मतलब है अगर वो वाक्य जब आप लिखा हुआ है उसमें कोई कॉमा नहीं है तो आप क्यों पॉज लगा रहे हैं. So that is the meaning of rhythm. And the fourth is resonance. Resonance is कैसे आप उसका उच्चारण करें. एक फ्रेंच आदमी जब इंग्लिश बोलता है तो वो फ्रेंच के तरीके से बोलता है. मेरा नाम है रवि, RAVI. नॉर्थ में इंडिया में जब भी कोई मेरे को बुलाता है कोई गलती नहीं करता, मेरे को रवि करके बोलते हैं. मगर कोई जो वेस्ट बंगाल से मेरे कोलीग्स हैं वो जब बोलते हैं तो ऐसे लगता है कि मेरे नाम के स्पेलिंग RAVI नहीं है, ROBI है. वो बोलते हैं रोबी. ये है रेजोनेंस का मतलब. करेक्ट योर रेजोनेंस, दैट इज़ द सजेशन. क्योंकि फ्रेंच जो है वो फ्रेंच तरीके से बोली जाती है, इंग्लिश जो है वो इंग्लिश तरीके से बोली जाती है. लर्न टू स्पीक English in the English way. Americans speak English in the American way. We are not Americans, we are Indians. So we have to learn to speak English in the Indian way, the way it's being done by most of the Indians. Look at the way English is spoken in some of the Indian television channels. And I at least tell you that please learn to pick up at least that style. If you speak the Doordarshan style, you will be far better than what you are today. Or even some of the channels could be NDTV or Times Now or whatever. But watch those news channels at least for one bulletin and try to pick up that style of speaking. You will be far better than otherwise. Then don't bring in those we call it non-verbal vocalizations, which includes silence, laughing, crying, verbal pauses, hours and whatnot. The fact is that like all other forms of communication, non-verbal communication is very important, and these messages they are silenced, but you must plan gestures and body movements. Use gestures naturally when you talk to someone, and don't put too much in gestures, postures. And finally, look at your non-verbal vocalization, because in your day-to-day communication, you are a very important element. Your eye contact is important, your facial expression is important, your tone of voice is important, your rate at which you speak is important, your pauses are important, your resonance is important, your gestures are important, your postures are important. You are an integral part of your communication. Don't forget that. Whenever you are communicating, you are an integral part. Your own personality is an integral part of your communication. Vocal part is very small. Verbal part is very small. The rest is far more important. And therefore, give attention to your body language, space, voice patterns, time, touch, color, layout, design, graphics, everything is important in your communication, and that's what we try to learn in this particular interaction. Friends, I just have 5-6 minutes, and I made a point to give you 4-5 minutes for your questions. So your questions, please. And with this, I complete my interaction, my presentation, and I budgeted some time for your questions. So your questions are welcomed.
Of course, sir, definitely questions are always welcome from our students who constantly watch us, and they have queries also. But I too have a query before that, if it would able to take any call. Sir, generally, as you talked about, when we face any interview or something like that, we pretend to be what we are not. Do you feel so? Though it is always a concern that whenever we face an interview, we try to impress the judges who are at the panel. So do you feel so it is important to be what we are and not pretend what we are not?
Absolutely. Why? Because don't forget, they are senior to you, they have much greater experience, they come across people like you day in, day out. You can fool somebody for a while, but you cannot fool somebody over 10 minutes. And if there are a group of people, 2-3 of them, you will be caught. Rest assured, you just cannot bluff. My experience, when we interview students, even if they try to impress us, we are able to catch the person, including some people say he's a fraud, he's a bluff master, he is not a genuine guy, he is not telling the truth. बहुत से बच्चे आते हैं, वो कहते हैं कि उनका एक गैप होता है 1 साल का, तो हम उनको पूछते हैं कि you took 5 years to finish your B.Tech, or you took 4 years to finish your BSc, what happened? तो बहुत कम लोग हैं जो कन्फेस करते हैं, सर मेरा रीअपियर आ गया था या मेरा सप्लीमेंट्री आ गया था. तो मगर वो कहते हैं नो, आई फेल सिक. फिर हम उसको पूछते हैं तुम्हारा CGPA कितना है, तुम्हारा मार्कशीट दिखा दो, तो मार्कशीट देखते हैं तो वो पकड़ा जाता है. तो होता क्या है कि जो पैनल मेंबर हैं वो भी चैलेंज फील करते हैं कि ये बंदा चैलेंज कर रहा है आपको ब्लफ करने का, तो हम बेवकूफ़ नहीं बनेंगे. तो वी हैव टू टेल हिम दैट वी आर नॉट फूल्स. तो इसलिए क्या है कि इंटरव्यू के अंदर ब्लफ मे नॉट वर्क. रेस्ट अश्योर अबाउट इट. यू आर लकी इफ़ इट वर्क्स फॉर यू, बट नॉर्मली हो नहीं पाता है. और मेरा तो सुझाव ये भी है कि बहुत सी बातें आपको अपने बारे में याद भी नहीं आती, क्योंकि आप इतने कैजुअल तरीके से इंटरव्यू में जाते हो. माई सजेशन टू यू विल बी दैट one day before your any interview, you should stop talking to others and start reflecting on your own resume. It could be that you have done something so well, and that examples don't come to you when you are facing the job interview. हो सकता है कि इंटरव्यू में वो पूछ ले तो आप कहेंगे सर यू गिव मी अ चांस एंड आई वोंट लेट यू नो आई एम अ गो गेटर, आई कैन अचीव रिजल्ट्स come what may under odd situations. At that time the board member may ask and say, okay, give me an example. And you are unable to, it could be that when you were in first year of your BA and the college festival was there and you didn't have funds but still you organized the event very successfully. Majority of the time, remember one thing, interview is always on your past. Refresh yourself on your past. And the interview is not on your future, but future is sabz bagh. I can say anything. तो जो assessment आपका होता है वो आपके past पे होता है, इसलिए अपने past को refresh करें और पूरा सोच के चिंतन करके उसको articulate करके सही वक्त पे सही चीज उदाहरण के तौर पे दें.
You have given very productive example as well as you have given a very productive session, and I believe that in individual life as well as in professional life as well as all those students who are pursuing for a career, going for the interviews would be benefited from this particular lecture. Thank you sir, thank you for being with us.